Now this is my lecture 1, which is an introduction to radiation system or introduction to antenna. Now what is radiation? By definition, radiation is a disturbance of electromagnetic field. Once a disturbance is created in an electromagnetic field, that disturbance will propagate away from the source of disturbance, and the total power in the wave will not decay with distance. As it propagates away, the total power remains constant while it is propagating away. Now, what can cause this disturbance, or what is the source of this disturbance? This is the disturbance in any electromagnetic field can be created time varying current source. For antenna engineers, this is important, or those who deal with antenna technology, for them it is important that the disturbance is caused by a time varying current source. For physicists we say, or scientists they say, the source comes from a time varying current. Particularly for the scientist, the source is associated with an accelerated charge distribution. If there is a charge which is accelerating, or a distributed charge that is accelerating, that is going to create a disturbance that will propagate away. Now for this, I suggest you to read the second book, not Ballman. Ballman does not explain it in proper manner. Although it is difficult in the second book, but I have taken it from the second book. So now let us discuss the radiation mechanism. If there is a source, how it is disturbing, how the disturbance is propagating. So let us start with accelerating charge. Now look at this at point A in the figure. Look at the figure on the left side. At point A, there is a charge Q, plus charge, positive charge Q. If there is a charge at any point, then you know from electrostatic principles that field lines of a charge, they represent the flux, and they come out, or they are assumed to be coming out from the charge in all directions equally well, and they will terminate on oppositely signed charge, which means if it is a positive charge, the field line will originate from the positive charge and terminate on a negative charge. If there is no negative charge nearby it, then it will terminate at infinity. This you have learned from a +2 science. So I am not going to expand on this, but I assume that you know this principle. These field lines or fields are called Coulomb field. Now suppose the charge Q is in motion and it is moving in the direction Z, right? The charge Q is moving in the direction Z. Now let me tell you one thing. Don't confuse that it is only a circle. It is not coming out around a circle. It comes around a sphere. The charge from the charge or from a point, any point can be enclosed by a sphere completely. A sphere, at the center of the sphere is your charge. What I am taking here is a slice in the YZ plane. Right? From the sphere, I have taken a slice in the YZ plane. That shows you the field lines. These white lines are field lines. I have considered a radius of RA initially. So it is moving in the, now let us consider, it is moving in the Z direction. Its velocity is constant or uniform. This charge Q is moving in the Z direction with a constant or uniform velocity, which means there is no acceleration. The charge is not accelerating. And this happens till t is less than 0. We have not started our stopwatch. Stopwatch is off. Stopwatch will be on at t is equal to 0. So while t is less than 0, this point charge is moving from some point in the z-axis up to the point A in the z-axis with uniform or constant velocity. Now, if that happens, what will happen? Now, when t is equal to 0, it reaches the point A. Now, while t is less than 0 or while t is equal to 0 minus just before 0, what happens? We find static lines of forces. They are radially outward from A. They extend to infinity because there is no negative charge nearby, and these field lines are moving with the charge with the same velocity with which the charge is moving. Now, let us consider charge has reached the point B from A to B. What happened between A to B we will discuss later, but it has reached point B along Z direction. So now the charge is from B, again the charge Q is in motion along Z direction with same constant velocity or whatever velocity it acquires at B, point B, with the same velocity it propagates away or it moves in the Z direction with the same velocity. So velocity remains constant or uniform after B. So this happens after t is greater than equal to delta t, which means between t is equal to 0 to delta t, the charge has moved from A to B. Now for t greater than equal to delta t, velocity of charge is constant. Since velocity of charge is constant, it will be giving you static field lines. They will be radially outward from B. They will extend to infinity. I have shown a small portion here, and they will again move with the charge. Now suppose the charge started accelerating, or I say that the charge is in the time period 0 to delta t. So during t, which lies between 0 and delta t, the charge is accelerating with an acceleration a. Now, you remember Maxwell's equations. From Maxwell's equations, we know, or Maxwell has already told us, that if there are electromagnetic waves, these waves will travel with velocity c. This is what Maxwell has said. So velocity or speed of electromagnetic wave is c. Based on that, he deduced his theory. Now lines of forces are also continuous. Electric lines of forces are always continuous. That also comes from Maxwell's equation. So these are two important concepts of Maxwell's equation. Now suppose acceleration is equal to 0, which means when it came from A to B, it didn't accelerate it. It came with the same velocity. Then delta r, which is the difference between the radius of the two circles that I showed you, the green circle and this yellow circle, delta r is equal to rb minus ra. What will be that delta r? Now you know from physics, elementary physics, you know displacement is equal to velocity into time, or velocity is equal to time rate of displacement. B is equal to delta S by delta T. Here the delta distance is delta R. So delta R by delta T is equal to V, which is the speed of the charge with which it is moving. So delta R is equal to V delta T. Now the charge has been displaced from Z A to ZB. So the distance between the charge at position A and B is ZB minus ZA, which is equal to delta Z. Now remember here that there are two distances or two displacements. One is delta r, which is the displacement between the radius of the two circles, and other is delta z, which is the displacement between the charges, and both are same because the charge is moving with uniform velocity. Now suppose A is not equal to 0. Suppose this was the A case, then come to B. This is B. So here is the RB. Earlier you saw RA. So RB minus RA, you can imagine what it is. Now delta Z, when A is not equal to 0, then your delta Z is equal to V delta T. What is delta Z? Displacement of the charge. Charge has been displaced with a velocity V. So delta Z is equal to V delta T. Now this V is because of the acceleration. Earlier it was uniform, now it is no more uniform, but delta Z will be equal to V into delta T. Then you have delta R. The catch is here. What happens at delta R? Delta R is the change in radius of the circle, which is RB minus RA. Now radius of the circle represents your lines of forces. Now lines of forces have accelerated. I told you earlier that Maxwell said lines of forces are related to electromagnetic waves, electrical field. So they are related to electromagnetic waves. Since they are related to electromagnetic waves, they will move with speed c. So delta r is going to be equal to c delta t. This happens only if there is an acceleration. If there is no acceleration, delta r is equal to v delta t. But if there is an acceleration, then it will be c delta t, which means the charge moves slowly compared to the field, that is the speed of light. The field moves with speed of light, charge moves with its own speed during an acceleration. So the speed of light is more than the speed of charge, so it is not going to move very fast. Charge is not going to move very fast, but the field is moving very fast. So in this case, delta Z will be much smaller than delta R, because delta Z is equal to V delta T, delta R is equal to C delta T. Delta T is common in both the cases. C, speed of light, is always much larger than any other speed. Other speeds at best can approach speed of light. So V is much smaller than C. Therefore, delta Z will be much smaller than delta R. If delta Z is much smaller than delta R, or the separation between the charges is smaller than the separation of the field region or the field circles, then the circles will be nearly concentric. That is the first thing, because delta Z is very small compared to delta R. Delta Z is very small, delta T is very small. So difference or separation between A and B is very small. Here I have not shown a very small separation for visualization, for you to understand. So this is an expanded view. Otherwise, A and B will be almost overlapping, whereas there will be a considerable amount of delta R. So disturbance in the field is created because AB is not separated. So delta R has a larger separation. So field gets disturbed. Now in that region, the disturbance region is red. Yellow is the region for A. Green is the region for B. Disturbance region is A. Now the lines of charges are continuous. Since lines of charges are continuous, or lines of electric field are continuous in this region, this red region, these lines will be, there will be lines which will be connecting the lines in the green region to the corresponding lines in the yellow region. Now, when that happens, that shows you that this field has been disturbed. Now, this field has been disturbed in the red region. Outside the red region, it is constant, it is not disturbed. Within green region or within yellow region, it is constant, it is not disturbed, but it is disturbed in the red region. Now it is disturbed, so it will propagate. Now once it is disturbed, the disturbance will start propagating. Why it will propagate, I'll let you know in another slide, but it will start propagating. It will propagate with the speed of c. Why speed of c? Maxwell has said EM wave travels with speed c. So this disturbance will propagate with speed c. Now the disturbed area, let us concentrate on the disturbed area or the red zone. Now this disturbed area has been caused by an acceleration of charge. Right? This disturbed area started at RA by C, and it will end after RB by C. So the moment when you are seeing this, it has started at a time of RB by C earlier than that. That we'll discuss later when we'll consider retarded time concept. But remember that it started at a time RB by C earlier than the instant that we are seeing in the figure. Now the lines in this region, red region, are kinked or bent. Kinked or bent. Now if they are bent, lines are vectors. Vector force is vector. Lines are lines of forces. So they can be, this force is bent. So line can have two components. One is radial component, ER. One is transverse component, ET. When it was in uniform motion, when the charge was in uniform motion, or when the charge was static, no motion, then you had only ER component. Now once it accelerated, we have a ET component. This has developed, right? So we have got a transverse component, ET. This is characteristics of a radiated field. The radiated field is characterized by a transverse field. This propagates to infinity with the speed of light. There will be ER, but ET starts propagating with speed of light. That is why it goes up to infinity. Now the maximum disturbance direction, look at this, where it is maximum, where the amplitude of the line or size of line is maximum. It is when it is perpendicular to Z. When the radial distance or radius is perpendicular to Z, the amplitude is maximum. And therefore, the maximum disturbance direction is perpendicular to charge acceleration direction. Charge is accelerating along Z direction. Disturbance is maximum along a direction which is perpendicular to it. And at that instant, ET is maximum. Other points, if it is not exactly perpendicular to Z, ET will have minimum values, smaller values, but ET will have maximum value when it is perpendicular to Z, or when it is along the y-axis. That you can say when it is along the y-axis, if I am considering the YZ plane. Now from this, what we understood? What are the takeaways from accelerating charges? First is accelerated charges radiate. I hope you understood why an accelerated charge will radiate. Then second is the acceleration of charge change is due to change of speed and it change of direction. change of speed of the electron or change of speed of the charge or change in direction of the charge that results in acceleration of a charge. Primary mechanism of antenna radiation is via charges. So if you are going to technology, first two is for science part. This part is technology. The primary mechanism of antenna radiation that comes from charges or charge disturbance. That is charge disturbance. When the charge start moving back and forth or oscillate on a wire, or there is a oscillation in response to an oscillating source. When you have a source, you connect a source to a wire, then charges in the wire will start oscillating. So that results in change of direction. The change of direction occurs at the ends of the wire. They are reversed. If there is a change of direction, there is an acceleration. So this acceleration, the change of direction results in an acceleration. Now, I hope you understand what is meant by oscillation. Oscillation means you go in one direction, then come back from that direction. So you are going in one direction for a certain time, then you are coming back from that direction after a certain time. Once you reach the peak, you come back. So that is the point where you are accelerating. You go with a uniform speed. From A to B, you go with a uniform speed, reach B, then come back to A with the same uniform speed. So your speed remains same, but you have accelerated at B. So there will be radiation at B. From the point B, there will be radiation. Or you go from A to B with uniform speed, then from B to C, which is not collinear to AB. So A to B, make an angle, go to C. So A to B, B to C with same speed, but at B, you have changed the direction. Therefore, there is an acceleration. Therefore, there will be radiation at B, at the point B. Now let us consider the second case, steady state charge oscillation. This comes from the first case. In the first case, we considered only one charge and we said that it is accelerating. And that is the physics or the science part. Now for engineers or technology, they say it may not be possible to accelerate a single charge under all conditions. If we take two charges, it may be possible. So what we do is, here we let us take two stationary charges. One is plus, one is minus. Now when I say I am taking two stationary charges, it does not mean it is only one electron or shortage of one electron. It can be amalgamation of many electrons, but the value for both these are same. So if the first one is Q, second one is also Q. If the first one is, the upper one is plus Q, lower one is minus Q. So I have two charges, right? They are separated by a distance dl. dl is very small compared to a frequency with which these charges are oscillating. Now by oscillating, I mean, or in practice or physically what happens by oscillation is, suppose I am considering the plus charge. So plus charge has an amplitude of 10 coulombs, right? So it goes from it has an amplitude of 5 coulombs. So it goes from 5 coulombs, gradually it increases to 10 coulombs. So amplitude increases gradually. Then it comes down to 0 coulomb. So 5 coulomb to 1 coulomb, 0 coulomb. So that is what happens to its amplitude. Right? Similarly, the lower one, minus 5 coulomb to minus 10 coulomb to 0 coulomb. So that is what is happening. That is what is oscillation. And this oscillation is sinusoidal. Sinusoidal means this oscillation or variation with time is following a sine wave. So it is sine t, sine omega t. If it is frequency is omega, angular frequency is omega, then it is a sine omega t. Suppose a is equal to plus 5. If a is equal to plus 5, sine omega t maximum value is 1. So the plus sign will have maximum value of 1 upper charge. Then sine omega t minimum value is minus 1. So after one period, that upper charge will have a value of minus 5. So plus 5 minus 5 upper one. The lower one similarly is minus 5. So when upper one is plus 5, lower one sine omega t maximum value is 1. So lower one will have minus 5. So upper one will have plus 5, lower one will have minus 5. Now after one period, so when a sine omega t becomes minus 1 in one period, the upper one will become minus 5, lower one will become plus 5, right? Or you can say that the upper one is coming, you can visualize it in this way. Actually, they are not moving. I hope you understood. The upper one is oscillating sinusoidally between plus 1 minus 1 with whatever amplitude it is there. Lower one is oscillating sinusoidally between minus 1 and plus 1 with whatever amplitude is there. They are not moving from their places. But at the end of each cycle, the upper one becomes minus, lower one becomes plus, then lower one becomes minus, upper one becomes plus. This you can represent as if these charges are moving towards each other. The upper one is coming towards the downward, lower one is going upward. So at the end of cycle, the lower one has moved from bottom to up, upper one has moved from top to down. Physically, this is not happening. Physically, what is happening, I have told you. Now to conceptualize this or visualize this, engineering or technologists, they say that they are moving in this manner. If they are moving in this manner, the dipole is providing a current path. A moving charge provides a current path. So the dipole is providing a current path. Now this current path will allow the charge distribution to alternate back and forth, up and down. Now if they are alternating up and down, it comes down, goes up, comes down. So at the extreme points, they are changing their direction, which means they are accelerating at each point along this path. So each point we have one accelerating charge. Because of the accelerating charge, there will be radiation. Now let us see how that happens. I think I have told you how it is equivalent to a small current element, and the separation between them, dl, is much smaller than lambda. You know, lambda is equal to c by f, f is equal to 1 by t, so lambda is equal to c into t, where t is the time period. So now this is similar to what we discussed. This is similar to having a wire dipole antenna. So on the left side, I have shown you two dipoles, which is similar to the right side, where we have a dipole antenna. Why I am calling it a wire dipole antenna? As I have explained, these dipoles, these two charges are changing their position along a line. So that line is there, plus minus is shown on the right hand side. So there is a current path, or there is a current, and it is moving there. So what happens in the wire antenna? Lines will start from, lines of forces will start from plus and end on minus. So I am showing those lines of forces. This happens at a time if I have switched on at t is equal to minus t by 4, where capital is the period, which is coming from the frequency, with frequency of oscillation, or the source that is providing energy to this dipole wire antenna, that source is providing it a frequency f. So t is equal to 1 by f. This is switched on at t is equal to minus t by 4 when the charges are there. And now the upward current, there will be upward current. That current creates excess of charges on the upper half and deficit of charges on the lower half. As you keep on increasing from 0, t is equal to minus 4, minus t by 4. So as you come to 0, so what will happen? Upward current will increase charges in the upper part and decrease the charges in the lower part. Same thing will happen with the downward current. Now let us consider the upward current and what happens when the peak charge is built up due to upward current. This will occur, maximum current will be occurring. We have started at t is equal to minus t by 4. So when we have come to t is equal to 0, from minus t by 4 to t is equal to 0, that gives me the peak. If you do not understand this, try to remember the sine wave. Sine 0 is 0. Sine pi by 2 is equal to 1. Sine pi is equal to 0. Sine 3 pi by 2 is equal to minus 1. Sine 2 pi is equal to 0. So we have 4 components: 0, pi by 2, pi, 3 by 2, and pi by 2. So 4 quadrants or 4 divisions. You start at t is equal to minus t by 4. Then you travel a distance of or cover time t by 4, which is equal to sine pi by 2. That is where you will have the maximum value of sine. Sine will give you 1, right? So this occurs at t is equal to 0, which we have started at t is equal to minus 4. So this occurs at t is equal to 0. So this is what occurs on the first figure, the left side figure, the first figure. That will produce, since there will be maximum charge, lower will be minimum charge. So suppose 5 coulomb, upper one will have plus 5 coulomb, lower one will have minus 5 coulomb. So if there is a charge difference, there will be a voltage difference between the two halves. So upper half and lower half, there will be a voltage difference. Why there will be a voltage difference? You understand capacitor, C is equal to QB. So if there is charge accumulation, there will be voltage. So there will be a voltage difference. Now, in the top positive charges, they will be attracted to bottom by the negative charges. Now, if they start coming to the bottom, once they move, moving charge creates a current. So there will be a current as it comes to the bottom charges. That will become at the bottom charge, it will become at t is equal to t by 4. This will be maximum. So 0 minus t by 4 to t by 4, minus t by 4 to 0, 0 to t by 4. When we reach t by 4, that is sine pi is equal to 0. Remember this, sine pi is equal to 0. So both the charges, plus 5 charges, why I said maximum at t is equal to t by 4, plus charges and minus charges all have reached t by 4 and both are 0. Right? So plus 5 plus of minus 5. If I take collection of their amplitude, it is plus 5 amplitude is 5, minus 5 amplitude is 5. That gives me maximum 10. Right? So that is why I call it maximum charge accumulation at T by 4. So what happens at T by 4? When T is equal to T by 4, maximum charge accumulation, but they are of opposite nature. So what will happen? They will cancel each other, or they will neutralize. So physically, this is a situation where you don't have any charge. So if there is no charge, but the electric fields are there. There is no charge, but electric fields. You know, electric fields always start from positive, goes to negative. And this way they form a loop. If there is no charge, then there will be a closed loop of electric field. How do you get that? You understand, I hope you remember del dot E or divergence of E is equal to rho by epsilon 0, where rho is equal to your charge density. This comes from Maxwell's equation. Now there is no charge, which means charge density is 0. So del dot E is equal to 0, right? If divergence of something is equal to 0, that something or that field is called a solenoidal field. Solenoidal field means it forms a closed loop. So electric fields will form a closed loop. So what we'll have, because of no charges or charge neutralization, there will be the electric lines of forces, they cannot terminate on any charge, so they will form closed loops near the dipole. Now let us go to the next cycle. So we started from minus T by 4, reached up to T by 4. In the next cycle, what will happen? They will go to the other extremes. Negatives will go towards positive, positives will come towards negative. So again, charges will start to develop. So see the third figure. In the third figure, compare the third figure with the first figure near the wire antenna, near the dipole. In the first figure, it is the lines of forces are coming from top to bottom, from plus to minus. In the third figure, again lines of forces are coming from plus to minus, but now they have changed their position. So it is from bottom to top. So it will again keep on doing something, same thing. It will keep on moving, that will be maximized. Then after T by 4, they will be detached. I showed you in the second figure, they are detaching. In the third figure, after another period of T by 4, they will be detached. So these detached fields, since they don't have a charge to terminate, this detached field will start to diverge or go away from the antenna or the wire or the oscillating dipole, right? So what happens here? Now near the dipole, we are considering the dipole. So near the dipole, the fields are most intense, right? And you can see now near the dipole, you see all the fields are perpendicular to the dipole. You understand that from your elementary knowledge also. If there is a source or charge, point charge, surrounded by a sphere within at the center of the sphere, lines of forces are going out radially. Now radius is always perpendicular to the surface of the sphere, right? Therefore, the fields are normal to the oscillating charges on the dipole, and they are most intense near the dipole, right? Now with time, the electric field lines, they detach from the dipole in a manner that we just discussed. During detachment, they are formed as closed loops in space, and they spread outward from the dipole. Now let us view this whole thing in terms of current. We said that charges are moving. Because charges are moving, we are getting current. Now, if you have a current, current is always surrounded by a magnetic field. Right? That you understand? That you have known from Faraday's law or Lentz's law, etc. So if you have a current element is surrounded by a magnetic field. Now this current element, current is changing, so the magnetic field will change. Each magnetic field is again surrounded by a current element. So that way it is going away from the current element, fields are going away, and you are getting a radiation. Now this happens, what happens here? On the element, we have a conduction current. Because of conduction, charge conduction occurs on the element, you have a conductor, charge conduction occurs on the element, so we have a conduction current on the antenna. Now when it gets detached, it is no more a conduction current. It is a current, we have a current. Due to continuity of current, we cannot detach it. There will be current, but it is no more a conduction current. Then what type of current it can be? It can be the displacement current. The displacement current does not require a conductor, right? So therefore, the conduction current on the antenna converts to a displacement current in space. That is the mechanism of radiation. When you design an antenna or design a radiating system, your principal aim is to convert the conduction current into a displacement current. Once it is converted to a displacement current, no need of a conductor, it can propagate in free space. Now this displacement current, it consists of two terms. One is longitudinal fields, which are near the antenna. Other is solenoidal fields or closed loops. This is created by the wire loops. These fields are away from the antenna. These always satisfy the continuity. Now this process continues. Because of the continuation of this process, we get radiation. Radiation is transverse to the radial direction, propagates to a large distance from the antenna. Right? Now this is the confirmation of general principle of radiation, that oscillating charges or accelerating charges, they create regular disturbances. Because there is a regular disturbance, there will be radiation which is continuous in nature. The moment oscillation stops, the moment acceleration stops, there will be no radiation. Now, from where oscillation comes, we are feeding the antenna from a source. Source gives an energy, that energy gives oscillation. So from that, oscillation comes. Now the frequency of the charge oscillation, that determines the frequency of the radiative wave. Whatever is radiated, that will radiate with a frequency which is equal to the frequency of the oscillation of charge. Remember this. This is very important. Always frequency of radiation is equal to the frequency of charge oscillation. Now when we design antenna, our primary aim is to support charge oscillation. So antennas are designed to support charge oscillation. This we will discuss later in details. These points we will discuss later in details. Now I will consider another case, and I will stop here. After I consider this, I will stop here. Another case, the case of a band transmission line. Now look at, I hope you have already studied transmission line in the earlier semesters, or you are studying that transmission line in this semester. Now look at this transmission line. There are two lines. One line is for positive charges. It is carrying current from left to right, and the lower one is carrying current from right to left. So one is for forward path, other is for return path. In the forward path, let us assume that when it is in the forward path, we assume that there are positive charges on that line. So that is connected to the positive point of the source. Lower part is connected to the negative point of the source. Now look at the line. In the line, you can see arrow marks. Look at the upper line. Upper line shows you a arrow mark which is pointing towards right. Then it is pointing towards left. Then it is pointing towards right. What does that mean? Does it mean that current is coming in the right, then it goes in back, in left, then it comes in right? No. It says that how the charge distribution increases or decreases. Where it is towards right, it is increasing. Where it is towards left, it is decreasing. Then where it is towards right, it is increasing. Then when it is towards left, it is decreasing. The same thing is for the lower one. Remember what we discussed just before this one. We have two stationary charges, plus minus, they are oscillating, which means plus goes to plus, comes back to minus, then goes to plus. Similarly, minus goes to extreme of minus, comes back to extreme of plus. That is what is happening here. Now assume that there are positive charges on the upper part, negative charges on the lower part. You have read this transmission line, so you know if it is terminated in an open circuit at a point 0, then the current will be 0 there. At the open circuit, current will be 0. This wave shows you current. Current will be 0 there, and it will be maximum at a distance lambda by 4 from the end. Again, it will become 0 at a distance lambda by 4. So every lambda by 2, it will become 0. And every lambda by 4, it will become maximum. That is what is shown in this figure. Now look at the first line. From the first line, it is positive charges, lines of forces will be away. So the solid line shows the lines of forces from the positive charge. It is away, so towards upward direction or outer direction, it is away, and in the inside of the transmission line, it is towards the lower line. Now look at the lower line, it has negative charges. If it has negative charges, then the lines of forces will come towards it, right? From outside it is coming towards it. Because of the positive charges, you have got a solid line which is away because of the positive charge. You have got a dashed line which is coming towards, and the line which is due to the negative charge. This is below the transmission line, lower line. Similarly, for the upper line, you have arrow upward, you have got a dashed arrow downward, indicating the lines of forces going away from positive charge, coming towards negative charge. So if I do not consider inside of the transmission line, in the outside, I have two arrows which are in opposite direction. So they will cancel. So there will be no net field. But inside the transmission line, the direction of both the arrows are same, from positive towards negative. So they will reinforce. So within the transmission line, the field is reinforced, or you have the field. Outside the transmission line, the effect of field is negligible. So the transmission line in this condition is not going to radiate, because outside the transmission line, there will be no field. We require to do something so that this transmission line will radiate, or outside this transmission line, there will be appreciable net field. Now let me bend this transmission line. The same transmission line, we bend it. If we bend it, look at the horizontal position. In the horizontal portion, there will be no radiation. Same thing, whatever we discussed happens there. But in the vertical position, now look at the fields. The fields are in the same direction. So they will add up. So there will be, once I bend it, there will be. Now where have I bent it? I have bent it so that each part, the vertical part and the vertical upward part and vertical downward part, each is lambda by 4. So total length of bending is lambda by 2. So there I have got one wavelength, one half wavelength. Otherwise it will be quarter half length, then wavelength, etc. So this type, if I do this, then I am going to get a radiation due to the transmission line, right? And this is also another method of matching. The transmission line is matched to the antenna. The vertical portion is called antenna. It is continuation of the transmission line. So the transmission line is matched to the antenna, which means their impedances are almost equal. Whatever energy is coming through the transmission line will go to the antenna and get radiated mostly. So this is what happens when we use a band transmission line. This is the basis, these are the basis which we will be using in our study further. I think I will stop here. There it has been enough for today. Let us stop here. If you have questions, throw them. I'll try to take them. Throw them on your chat box. Okay. Thank you.